first on BBC One, and time for See Here.
Greece, Athens. This is where democracy was born more than 2,500 years ago. This is where science, philosophy, medicine, art, theatre, literature and sports first developed. I don't know much about the young deaf in Greece. I imagine that compared to us, they're way behind in areas like education, common acceptance of sign language, interpreter assistance and so on. I wonder if it is true. Maybe I'll be surprised. Ah, now that's the Acropolis. I must go there. Hello. Where are you from?
Hi, well, firstly, welcome to Athens. I'm Helly, and this is my name sign. What do I do? Well, first of all, I studied at the university, sociology, you know, the science of people and social relations. I finished that now. Then I worked for the deaf organisation as a junior secretary. And now I work with young people and will continue to do so.
Right, so how old are you?
I'm 23.
Oh, so am I, exactly the same.
Great. You come, do you want to have a look round?
Great.
Do you know what I've been thinking about? Maybe you have too. You know the next World Games in the evenings after the contest?
Oh, when people celebrate?
Yeah, I think it should happen at the same place so that they're not all spread all over town.
So how much is a ticket?
It only costs 20 pence.
Oh, that's cheap.
Yes, and students pay a special fare of 17 pence.
Wow, even cheaper.
Yep, more young Greek deaf people.
Hi, my name is Demetrius, and this is my name sign.
Hi, my name is Lopi, and this is my name sign.
So what do you do?
I'm studying information technology.
And you?
Well, last month I got my diploma in architecture from the university. Now I'm studying information technology, and in the evenings I teach hearing people sign language. Hi!
Hi. Sorry, what's your name?
I'm Christina, and this is my name sign.
Right, and how old are you?
I'm 26. Oh no, 27.
And what do you do?
Well, I'm a student architect at the university, and I also work with young people. This is the plaka. It's great.
Plaka. Right.
This is the goddess Athene. The city was named after her. She fought on the Acropolis and won.
So the city's named after her?
That's right, yeah, after Athene. Look at him. You see, we Greek people, we love old legends and myths like that.
Ah, right. I got that for £4, cheap, eh? Now, Turkey once occupied Greece, and there's always been misunderstandings between the two countries. Why is that? I mean, what's the problem?
In 1453, Turkey attacked and occupied Greece under the leadership of Othomaniki. He conquered Greece. Those were terrible days. For example, if a Greek mother gave birth to a baby boy, the Turks demanded that the boys were sent to Turkey, where they grew up in the Turkish army. When they grew old enough, they were sent back to Greece to fight against their own people. And the Turks killed children. Yes, of course, Greek men too. They took large taxes from the poor Greek peasants. Greek children weren't allowed to go to school, and their own religion, the Greek Orthodox religion, was banned. Secret schools were opened for the Greeks, where the children were taught without the Turks knowing, and they continued to teach in Greek. This was done all over Greece. They wanted Greece to be Greek, not Turkish.
When you studied at university, did you have an interpreter?
No interpreter at all. It wasn't all that bad, I mean, in the more practical classes, painting, drawing and modelling. But in the theory classes, I didn't have an interpreter. It was impossible to get one as none was available. The problem was also money, which I didn't have. Before the exam, I had to read a lot. If I had problems, I'd have to talk to the teacher. But as a deaf person, this was very difficult. At the last exam, the last part, there were still no interpreters, but my teacher helped me. At the examination, there were 2 new teachers as examiners. It was hard to communicate with them, but my teacher helped me by reminding them that I'm deaf and that they should speak slowly.
Do you teach sign language interpreters here?
Yes, I do that here, but not only interpreters, also for beginners too. There are 3 levels. The first for beginners with no knowledge at all of sign language, the next is a little harder, and the third for sign language interpreters.
Right, so how many interpreters do you have in Athens?
Well, in Athens, in all of Athens, there are 10 registered interpreters. They're not registered by the government, but locally. Now, 3 of the interpreters only work once in a while. The rest work full-time.
And how many deaf people are in Athens?
I'm not really sure, but I would say approximately 1,000 people, or anyway, thereabouts.
Now, what about employment? Is there much work for young deaf people?
No, that is a problem. In the past, they didn't have to try hard to get a job. They'd often got money from their parents, which, didn't motivate them. Some deaf people study, but when they graduated from university, it's impossible for them to get a job. It's really difficult. We don't get any help from the government. They don't consider deaf people's problems. They hire hearing people, but not deaf people. The deaf must stand shoulder to shoulder and fight the government. If you know people with political influences, then it may be possible to get a job, but without these contacts, well, it's impossible. It's a huge problem.
So, what's the population of Athens?
About 3,000.
3 million?
Yeah, about. Thereabouts.
Here in Athens, people have just had their dinner, and looking around, I'm amazed. Lots of people about, and it's midnight on a Thursday. In Denmark, people would have been in bed by now because they've had to get up for work. But here, it's almost crowded. Don't people sleep here? I mean, don't they have to go to work tomorrow?
No problem.
No?
In the evenings you have fun, and tomorrow you go to work. No problem.
So no problem. This is Athens.
It's different, but mostly it's the younger ones. They don't sleep much.
Oh, it's been a tough day. It is strange that everybody I've met studied at the university. Next time I'll catch up with some different youngsters, and I must go to the Acropolis. Oh well. Good night. A nice cup of strong coffee to start the day. Now this is Greek coffee. It's made by boiling the water, adding a teaspoon of sugar, then when that's dissolved, they add the ground coffee. From then on, the water must not boil, it must just simmer. The pot's then removed from the heat and the ground coffee sinks to the bottom. Then you can drink it. Just add sugar if you think it's too strong. Now I'm ready to visit Heli, and after that the Deaf Club. The Acropolis? I don't think I'm going to make it, unfortunately. Now, do deaf people in Greece receive any special allowances?
Yes, we do, but not as adults. If you're born deaf, you receive the allowance up to the age of 18. And if you continue in further education, you may get the allowance until you're 25. Then, when you graduate from the university, the allowance stops because then you're eligible to get a salary job.
Ah, right. So how much is the allowance?
Oh, well, it's about £75, which is very little, and many deaf people complain, really.
Is that per month?
No, it's every second month. We complain about it. I mean, we'd like to get more. I mean, it's just not enough. In 2 months, the money is spent really quickly. But on the other hand, we don't have to pay for our tuition. We receive free books all through the study period, which may explain the small amount of allowance.
Greece has joined the EC and the ECRS. Do you think it's improved your prospects?
Oh yes, a lot. When Greece joined the ECRS, the association got more work. We gained contacts and a lot of information which we passed on, and we negotiate with the government. Whenever we receive information which contradicts current laws, we fight to get the laws changed. There's a lot of collaboration between different organisations, for example between the Greek government, the European Deaf Collaboration Centre and the Association of the Deaf. If the government won't help us, we contact the ECRS, who help us to put pressure on the government. Thanks to the ECRS, we now have a youth committee and a sign language committee. Development is in progress because of the ECRS. I believe other countries in Europe feel the same way, and that's really positive.
Oh, there's all kinds of vegetables here.
Yes, fruit and vegetables, they're really cheap. In the shops, they're more expensive. Here, they're a bargain. The Association of the Deaf is right over there. The programme's about to start, come on.
It's you. You look gorgeous.
Θέλουμε σχολείο διερμηνέων στο Πανεπιστήμιο. Υπήρχαν κάποιες σχολές που γινόντουσαν μέσα στις ομοσπονδίες. Αλλά από το Πανεπιστήμιο θα μάθουνε πιο.
We've just been watching a programme in sign language in relation to a day for the handicapped. Deaf people have had a programme on television about deaf issues and campaigns. The programme also explained that in Denmark and Sweden, sign language is recognised and that they want it recognised in Greece too. Everybody cheered. Do you have news in sign language here in Greece?
Yes, 1 minute.
2 minutes.
No, 1 minute. Yeah, we have a minute a day. It's such a short time. I'm hoping that as we get on, we'll get more.
Yes, we have programs in sign language and more are coming. It started 5-6 years ago? About 5 years ago. They're good now, but not very professional, but it will improve. They're improving all the time. Several deaf people didn't like the program, but I told them to speak positively about them. Hearing people should enjoy them as well, to enable us to get better programs. There are many who are interested in learning sign language after seeing it on television. When some of them are fluent in sign language, maybe someone will show up and we can use them in television. We're looking for them, but they're hard to find.
OK, now what about AIDS? Today many people have AIDS. Do you feel you get enough information about it?
Yes, all over the world, a lot of people have AIDS, but not many deaf people in Southern Europe know much about it. In other countries, people worry about HIV virus. They've had blood tests, but this isn't done in Southern Europe. We're kind of more carefree. The problem here is that condoms are not commonly used. We've got to remind people to use them. In the past, information was very scarce. Nowadays, a lot of information is given on television. We now know more and can take better care.
I know that some deaf people believed you could be contaminated with AIDS from using toilets. They were very scared. We've been explaining that that's not the way the virus spreads. In Italy, I've had a lot of information, but not much here in Greece. I talk about it with my hearing friends, and when my deaf friends are in doubt, I ask my hearing friends and pass the information on.
Are you strong believers? I mean, do you go to church often?
Well, yes. I can tell you that my grandmother was very religious and taught us that the church is good and that you shouldn't look down on it. We listen to her, and I believe in God but don't go to church very often. I'm not very religious. It's because things are so bad in the world, so how does praying help? Instead, we concentrate on getting to know ourselves. Life is so short, we waste time by praying. But we're grateful to our grandmother for having taught us to believe. I mean, if she hadn't told us about it, I think we would have been worse off. Don't you think so? It's hard to tell.
It's like when I was growing up. I often went to the church. So what's the sign? Grandmother. That's right. Okay, well, I often went to church with my grandmother, but I didn't understand a word. The priest would preach and preach, and I'm deaf. I was supposed to be very quiet and not lean against anything or move a muscle. If I did, I get spanked. So I soon grew tired of it and started to go to the deaf club more and more often and use sign language. We both did.
What are you planning to do when you've finished your education?
I've graduated from high school and now study at university. Later, I want to teach deaf children English language and literature. I want to do this because I believe it's important for Greek people to speak and understand English. It's important to be able to communicate with people in other countries, in Europe. I know that most people in Northern Europe speak English. This isn't the case in Southern Europe. It's not enough to speak only one language. That's my aim, but we'll see.
When I finished high school, I didn't feel like going to university. Instead, I travelled all over Europe and discovered that many deaf people are very aware of their situation. This isn't the case in Greece at all. So when I came back, I started at the university because I know that many deaf people through school have been taught orally without understanding what was going on. I feel sorry for them, but this has to be changed. When I finished at the university, I wish to teach drama to deaf children and teach them to use more body language.
I want to be a masseuse, but the problem is that the university don't want to teach this to deaf people. This surprises me a lot. Soon I'll be going to the university to ask their reasons for preventing me from studying this subject. Then I'll think about what to do.
I want to be, what's the sign?
A psychologist.
Yeah, you know, someone who observes a child to find out if it's having a problem in the family. Tries to support and help. I prefer to work with young people.
So how did you guys meet?
Well, we both went to the same boarding school, and that's where we fell in love with each other. And we've grown up together.
Do you sleep together even though you're not married?
No, not while we were at boarding school. We were separated, but at his home, yes, we sleep together.
Mm-hmm. There was this guy on a huge, powerful motorbike, and he saw a woman above on the balcony. He said, "Come on down with me, we'll go up north somewhere. Scandinavia, Norway, come with me." She said, "No, I'm imprisoned in this house. My mother won't let me out. I can't go out at all, I'm chained here." So anyway, the man says, "Come on, let's elope together, come on." He says to her, "Okay, think about it till midnight and say yes or no, and I'll come back and pick you up." So the guy goes off, comes back in the evening, and the shutters are closed. He tries to call out to her, but she's deaf. Then he has an idea. He turned on the light of his motorcycle, reared it, and let the light flash over the window. The woman saw the light flashing through the window, opened the shutters and said, "Yes, I'll come with you." "Great," he said, "great. Now, as I come through with my motorbike, you jump on and we'll ride into the distance. So no one can see you, your mother won't see you, we'll just ride off." So she did. She jumped onto the bike. He sped off into the distance. He looked in his mirror and asked if she was okay. She said, yes, I'm fine. And accelerated to 100 miles per hour. The cylinders were working great. But her face was mauve, like when you get a black eye, that colour. He looked in his mirror and thought, what's wrong with her? Accelerated even higher, 150 kilometres an hour. And her face went even darker. He thought, that's something strange. 200 kilometres an hour. And her face was black, like my jacket. He thought, what's wrong? How's this happened?
Oh, come on, tell us.
What he didn't realise was when she jumped, she'd missed the bike and she was running behind.
Now bear in mind that in Greece they eat and eat. Now the time is 1:30. I never got to see the Acropolis. There hasn't been time because, as you can see, we've been busy eating. Many young deaf Greeks say that Greece is way behind the rest of Europe in accepting deaf people. Yes, this may be true, because after all they only have 10 interpreters in all of Athens, and that really is bad. But still, I'm impressed by the young Greek deaf people. They work hard, they study at university without interpreters, they teach sign language themselves, they seek knowledge from other countries. They work night and day to improve their conditions. The young Greek deaf people do not seem oppressed. On the contrary, they're very strong.